Alright, so good morning everyone. I think I will have to start from about 9:55, it's just about 9:50. I would like to make the most out of the 5 spare minutes that I have to introduce about myself. So firstly, my name is Tien. I'm from the University of Education. It's located on Andover Street, maybe some of you know it. Currently, I'm a lecturer of English there. So I have been working with students who major in English for the last 2 years. And also I've been actively involved in exam preparation courses like the IELTS and TOEFL. But not the TOEFL IPT, not yet. Hopefully I'll do that in the future. So my experience lately also involved teaching students via the internet, online teaching and learning, also correspondence teaching and learning. I have just started a class of 3 students. They're from Hanoi. And we meet every Monday and Wednesday in the afternoon for correspondence learning, which I find is quite an interesting experience through quite a new platform. I have experience in designing materials, especially using technology in teaching, making the most out of a PowerPoint presentation, and also some other pieces of software to design stuff for students to use, and also for myself during I do the teaching. So very nice to meet you here today. Then, welcome to my presentation. Today I'm going to talk to you about a little piece of software. It's called iSpring Quizmaker. As you can see from the abstract or from the paper that you get, I gave it a different name. It's called iSpring Suite. However, iSpring Quizmaker is a small part inside the iSpring Suite, which involves making presentations and stuff. But I just want to focus on the Quizmaker. As we know, quiz just a different word for tests, exercises, and things like that. So basically, that's what I'm going to be talking about. And the title that you might have seen in the abstract or in the introduction paper is a little different. It just includes designing materials. However, when I decided to do the presentation sometime afterward, I decided to change the title to Maximizing Students' Learning. Because this is not just about the software, it's also about their students. It's more about their learning than about my teaching. Okay, so I think we're going to start, and then we're going to have more time. Then to start with, this is iSpring Quizmaker. It's a little piece of software. So this software is designed to help you create e-materials that run on a computer. It can also run on the internet. It can run on a smartphone. And it can run on an iPad or any other tablet. Basically, it helps you design things that are not paper, materials the student can work with without their book. Just their computer is enough. I can create reading passages or listening quizzes based on this software. And I can do grammar quizzes and also vocabulary quizzes. I have also been able to produce some pronunciation lessons from this software. So now the point is, after I created those things, which I will show you right after this, I can distribute all the materials to my students via the internet, like an online learning website, or I can just send it to their email addresses. Or very basically, just copy it to a USB and give it to your students. And even more, I can use it during my lesson. What I'm teaching, I can embed it into my PowerPoint presentation very easily. Alright, so that is for a brief introduction about iSpring Quizmaker. And that is the picture that you can see. It looks something like that. I'm afraid that I won't have time to show you how to create one in this presentation. I will just show you the product. Okay, so let's move to that right now. Right here you have in your handout, this is nothing for you to read in terms of practice, exercise, whatever. Just a sample. So if you look at the first page, page number 16, I've taken this from a FCE book. As we all know, the first certificate of English by the Cambridge TESOL. So first certificate, it has several sections including reading comprehension, listening, writing, speaking, and the use of English. So on the first page, we see a section on use of English. And the first exercise is a guided close. As we can see in the first page, questions. And on the next page is multiple choices, A, B, C, and D, for your students to choose from. Okay, so basically what I can do with iSpring is to turn this paper into something that runs on the computer, which I will show you right now. Okay, so this is it. Set up. Technological problem. It's antivirus something. Okay, I think we've got to wait it. Sometimes it happens. Computer programs. No problems found there, luckily for me. Right. So this is what I've been creating. It's a software. It's a program. It runs on any computer, on a Windows, on a Mac, anything. When a student opens it, this is what they see first. And on the screen, you're going to see there's a title. There's some button, next, previous, submit. Alright, so right now I'm going to hit next to move on to the next question. Okay, paper. This is the first exercise you see in the paper. And I turned it into software. Right. Then on the screen, we see question, exactly the same. Right. However, I do not create a whole separate page for the question, but I embedded it to each question. So whenever the student click on the question, the options for choice appear, and they choose it immediately. So what would be your answer for this one, number one? You almost. Certainly? Right, I think so. So I'm going to put certainly there. So my choice is certainly, I hit certainly. And similarly for all of the other answers, we're going to choose anything. Right. It's very simple. You do it exactly as you read. Okay, things like that. And when we finish, scroll down and answer the last question. You can hit answer. Right. Now because I haven't answered all of the things, so it's either I hit OK to continue answering all of them, or hit skip. So I'm just going to choose anything. Right. And so again, partially correct. Not really all wrong, not really all right, but partially. And right here, we see feedback is provided right after the student does the exercise. We see which one is the correct answer. And I can use the mouse to scroll down slowly to see all of the correct answers, which I have designed to be in red ink, stands out from the other. Okay. So that is one exercise for the guided close, as we're familiar with. So this is a case of vocabulary, grammar words normally, and collocation, things like that. Then, if you would please move to the next page of your handout. So this is a different piece of exercise. It's a close, but an open close, where your students have to input their own answers without any pre-designed options. Then that would be the next question in range. And we see competition, your ideal score. Exactly the paper that I projected onto the software. And as we remember from an open close, students have to fill in their own words. So they can do this right on their computer. And then for number 13, I'm going to say something. I don't think you, your classmates, maybe will change. If my answer is will, I input will then. I don't know. I don't know which one is correct. your chance to express your ideas about maybe what the ideal school is like. Okay, so the point is, I can input anything, my answers, whatever. So if I don't know the answer, I can just leave it blank. I don't have to answer it. Right, and then I'm going to move on to the bottom of the page where I answer the last question, which is number 24. Maybe before or by Friday, 30th April, I don't know. So similar to the previous exercise, we're going to hit answer. Okay, something will happen. Again, it's partially correct. That means I got more than one correct answer. Lucky enough. Right. And also, as we see, feedback is provided instantly after the student does it. So suppose that you're doing the exercise on a piece of paper. After you do it, you're going to have to turn to the last page in the book to look for the key. And you're going to have to check which one. Number 1 is A, number 2 is B. And that takes a little more time for the proof check. This software offers a more convenient way in terms of feedback, things like that. So I can just scroll down to see all of the answers. Right. No letter N. So I got it wrong. Bad luck. Then. Now if we move on to the next page, this will be a different kind of exercise, which is word formation. As we know, word formation is normally found in all of the students' kind of textbook, all kinds of exercises, tests, whatever, even in this Cambridge test. So, then it's quite similar to the previous question. New waterproof clothing. So again, I have just projected it onto the website. So what I've done is to put the important word in bracket and in bold, so that the student makes it easier for the student to see and to tell it apart from the other choices. Okay, so now where are they going to input their answers? For this exercise, I've done something a little different. Due to some difficulty, I cannot help them to input their answer right here, for example. I'm going to see number 25. The knowledge that you have something. I cannot help them input answer right there due to difficulty in terms of technique. So, what I have done is to move that to the bottom. This is where they're going to input the answer. So for example, number 1, the knowledge, I don't know. Right, so I'm going to put it there. And for number 34, maybe it would be wants. It's a want, weather, I don't know. So that's my choice. I input my answers. And I can even input it in capitalized letters, like additional, capitalized, whatever. And then similarly, we will hit answer and we'll see what happens. Again, it's partially correct. Right. And we also see feedback is provided instantly, as with the previous 2 kind of exercises. Scroll down, you see everything. Okay. Right. And this is a different kind of exercise which I did not manage to include in the handout, but you can take a look at it on the screen. This is sentence transformation, as we are all familiar with. So basically, students just read it and they do the transformation right here. Then for example, number 35, Marcella left home very early because she wanted to be sure of catching the train. And then what would you suggest? Simple. Just give me an idea so I can put it.
What is the task?
The test is, okay, you rewrite this sentence so that it means exactly as the one above. Use this word. Must contain order. Yeah. Yeah, so, excuse me, can you...
In order not to.
In order to.
Not to.
In order not to. In order not to. Okay, so, that's it. We do it exactly, immediately on the website as we scroll down. And it will be the same for the other questions. So I just input anything, I don't know. Then we hit answer, right? And again, we see the feedback is provided instantly for all of the questions. Just scroll down and see what happens. Right, so that's it for the first quiz on use of English, grammar, vocabulary, and things. Now, so is it only possible with grammar and vocabulary? As we know, these are the most basic things that we're going to create with quiz. Even if it's paper or even if it's online. Can I do listening? Can I do reading comprehension? Okay, I have managed to do that. And if you take a look at the next page, okay, this is what you see. The title is Volunteering in Africa. It's the listening exercise, also from FCE practice test section number 2. Fill in the blanks. So let's get the files working. Okay. Listening is also easy to create with this website. As we may realize, when the students do this paper, they take a look at the paper and they have to turn on the audio file separately on their computer, on their CD, on their mobile phone, on their iPad, I don't know. But the two things are separate. And as they scroll down, they will have to modify the audio file, fast forward, backward, stop, pause. It would be done on a different device. Then what I've been able to do is to make things more convenient to them. So for the first test, okay, this is what we can see in the paper. Volunteering in Africa. Then it would be similar. Fill in the blank as they listen. And we have the audio file right there at the top. I'm sorry there's no audio file in this room. I'm going to play it to see if you can hear anything. Volume is quite small, but whatever. Then we have the audio file running. And it just keep running. If you want to pause, pause. Continue playing. If you want to move forward, hit anywhere. Right. I want to move to the end. I want to move back to the beginning of the listening. I can do that. It's much more convenient. I can adjust the volume right here. Right. And so, suffice it to say, I can also use this for my teaching in the classroom. Play it directly for my students to listen to. So, which is quite similar, we're going to input our answers into all of the blanks. Right, and we're going to hit answer. And this time we got it incorrect. 0%, bad luck. Then, anyway. So that's it. And if you look back at the grammar, it's similar in one sense. That is the fill in the blank exercise. Right, students just do it, they fill in the blank. They see the feedback, and they also listen one time, two times. They get exposed themselves to the listening file. Okay. Now, if we turn to the next page, we will see that this is a different kind of exercise. Also listening, and also from FCE. This is section 3 in the FCE test. And as we remember, it asks you to match the speaker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the statements A, B, C, D, E, F. And then we have 5 speakers, but there are 6 statements. That means one statement is not to be used. Right. Then the student's job is to listen, and they're gonna run the file, audio, it keeps running, and then move down And as they listen, they decide which of this statement will go to which speaker's vote. So how can they do that? It's based on the idea of drag and drop. Click on it, drag, drop it anyway. Right. I like this one. Looks cool. Basically, it's actually very simple to design. If you try it, it takes 5 minutes only. Okay, so this is what I've been able to do. Then so far, we have talked about multiple choice A, B, C, D. We talked about fill in the blank. We talked about matching. Okay, actually you can do more than that. You can even do essay. The student write a whole essay and it will come to your email address. That's how it works. We can also do what we describe as a hotspot. It's like, for example, I have a map of America on the board. I want the students to tell me which place in the map is New York. And they're going to hit on the place and show them. That's a different kind of thing. But basically, what we've been talking about, multiple choice, and also true, false, fill in the blank, matching, are the most common types of exercises that we might have to design when we do this kind of materials. Okay. Then, up to now, we've had grammar, vocab, listening. Now, toughest part, reading comprehension, will be on the last paper. Okay. Now, if you look at the last paper on reading comprehension, also this is from FCE, reading passage number 1. Right. So the student has to read the paper within 20 minutes, and their job is to answer the question that's followed on the last page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions, and multiple choice again. Then similarly, this is what I've been able to produce. As we see, I'm going to put the whole reading passage onto the software. And then they read it slowly, easily. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down until they finish. And then they can choose the answer for all of these questions. Okay, so number 1, something A, B, C, D. And in the answer blank, we see the order is a little bit mixed up. It's just a problem with technical issue, but it's no big deal then. So for example, I'm going to choose C. Right. And then I go back to the reading passage. Keep on reading. Right. Just keep on reading. That's just it. When you look at it on the screen, it's quite big. But when you put it on a laptop computer, it would look way better because of the resolution. It's larger, it's easier to follow. And then I'm going to choose my answer for all of the other ones. Things like that until the last one. And right. Answer. When you finish, of course. That's it. That's what happened. Quite simple. Okay. And now this reading passage, I haven't included that in the handout, but we can pay attention. It's based on the same concept of matching. So what the students have to do is to read this text. It's a quite long piece of text, and what they have to do is to decide in each of these blanks, which I leave right there, which option is going to be put in that is connected in terms of semantic, in terms of pragmatics, whatever. So again, it's a matter of drag and drop. Right. As we follow on in the reading passage, we're going to see. So things like that. quite simple. Let's do the last one. And when we finish, the same thing we're going to do is to hit answer. To see how many correct answers we've got. Partially correct. Okay, so do you notice anything after I hit answer? There's something missing. For the previous exercise with grammar, okay, when I hit answer, I see something that now I cannot see. Yes, feedback. And also, which one are the correct answers? Right. Why? This is only a matter of myself. When I decided, I was too lazy to input the feedback. That's just it. But it's gonna take about 5 minutes only. Anyway, it's up for us to decide how we can program the feedback to look like and whether to provide it or not. Okay? So that's it. Then I've just shown you lots of materials that I've been able to produce using ice cream quiz makeup. Then we got grammar quizzes, vocabulary quizzes, listening quizzes, and reading quizzes. In order to give an expansion, I can also do pronunciation, which is quite similar to listening because we will have an audio file running. And students practice, hit pause, and play forward, backward, things like that. I can also create an essay form for them to do the writing. And as I mentioned earlier, it will run directly to my email address. And then I have to check it and send that to them later. It would be quite complicated if we don't use it. But anyway. So now, I want to discuss something. The suffice that what I am proposing is a piece of software that enables teachers to design materials for their students, and this will maximize their learning. Then what are some potential advantages? Then the first thing that I can mention is time efficiency and cost efficiency. I mean for the students. Of course, when we ourselves design it, it will take quite some time. But we design it once, we use it for quite a long time, which is what I've been able to do. So I decided once only, I use it for several classes, for several years, with little modification, which is quite easy to do also. And by cost efficiency, I mean that maybe your students won't have to make photocopies or buy books or anything. It's just a small thing, not really a big deal. Okay. Second advantage is in terms of reusing material. Then as we remember, practice makes perfect. The only way to practice something, to be perfect in something, is to do it again and again. And of course, if students want to do something again and again with the paper, they're going to have to make another photocopy of it. They do it once, they check it, leave it aside, and they do another piece of paper which is the same. So making more photocopies, or they do it in pencil and then erase it, then do it one more time. So that makes it quite a little inconvenient with all of the marks that may leave after you erase something. That's the whole point. And if you use this software, after we answer it, all of the answers are gone. We can do it today, tomorrow we'll do it again. The next day we'll do it again. Next week, we'll do it one more time. Until we get really used to it. Right. And then all of the language, all of the structure, item, lexical item, and things like that, it get gonna sink into us. The third advantage, as you have also witnessed on the screen, is the use of feedback, which is provided instantly after the students do the exercises. So right after they hit the button answer, they see feedback to the correct answer. And even listening tape scripts, if you want them to see, it is possible. Right. So it is all a matter of the designer to make sure what is the most advantageous for the students to do. It's possible. And the last advantage that I can mention is when we design things like this, students have access to them anytime. As I mentioned earlier, it can be posted on a website. It can be posted on an email address. I can send it to their email address, right? So they open it anytime with their computer. Even on their mobile phones, on their iPad. We know those technological stuff is available with most students nowadays now. So maybe 10 years ago, this wouldn't be really fashionable. But I do believe that in the in the foreseeable future, we're going to witness quite a boost in the utilization of such materials among students. Not only university students, but also high school students. I have friends who are experiencing with this, and they're proven to be quite useful. Okay. Of course, when we talk about advantages, there would be disadvantages. So if you think about it this way, is this only a change in terms of the substance of the material? Is it only a leap from the paper to the digital stuff? Then that would mean there's nothing special about it, right? Now let's change it from paper to software. So, I have very good rationale to do this, to carry out this practice. As we see, some of the teachers nowadays they complain that they don't have enough time in the class for the students to carry out practice exercises, especially in terms of grammar and vocabulary and stuff. They tend to focus on communicative activities, other things, interaction, and promote speaking and writing in class. But we cannot say for sure that we won't spend time doing this exercise. As we remember, all of the course book, textbook, they come together with workbooks, exercise books, and grammar books. They exist on the market. Students like them, especially my students. They like those books. They like doing grammar exercises. So instead of making them do it on the book, why not do something different, like put it on the computer for them to use? And the second practical issue that leads to the use of this material is the widespread of technology, as we see. Students nowadays, they got smartphones everywhere. They got tablets, quite cheap though, of $200 you can get one. And laptops, they have laptops too. So those are just practical issues. It's just on my own thinking, my own logical reasoning. That is there any real theoretical basis to support this? Okay, so a while ago I did research into teaching vocabulary, and I came up with a theory. It's called the lexical approach, proposed by Mr. Michael Lewis in 1993. Basically, the lexical approach says that the more we practice, the more we get exposed to the language. The more we do something, the better we memorize it. And the better we memorize it, the better we're going to be able to utilize it. So the lexical approach is not really a big deal, but the theory behind it is a theory about how the mind works. That is important. Input, loss of input, exposure, and re-exposure, recycling, reproduction. That's the point. So what we're doing is to do the material, redo it, and students get more chances to correct their own mistakes and learn from the feedback. And the more they do it, the more they remember. That's the point. So I got theoretical basis to support me, practical issues to support me, and advantages of the software to support me. Alright. And so, what can I say? So in conclusion, what I have been trying to propose to you is not a change in methodology or whatever. It's just a new try, a different way to provide materials to your student. And by so doing, we also encourage repetitive learning, re-exposure to language. Right. And by so doing, students are going to enhance the memorization of language. That's it. Okay. So I think that's enough for my presentation now. I think time is running out too. So have you got any questions? I think we're going to have 1 or 2 minutes for that. Yes, please.
What about copyright rules? Because you say you cut and paste the first Cambridge onto this, but I mean, where I come from, copyright laws are very important. You just can't cut and paste stuff. You have to design your
you mean this
own.
paper?
Yeah, no, you were saying that you you can give him a grammar book and put it there. Then if I lazy copyright law rules, that's the first question I ask.
I agree that there is going to be quite a big issue with copyright, but I will justify myself by saying this is for educational purposes. But of course, I've got to cite the source after the text. I know. Right, that is a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah, that's the main problem.
We cannot just steal from other people's property.
The second question I want to ask is, when you see things on a computer or a laptop, the visual aspect is important. If you have too many words in one line, it makes it harder to read, etc. They have been research on that. So does that software of yours take into account, or we have to decide for ourselves what is suitable like for a phone? It shouldn't be too many words because when you scroll, it's harder to read so many things. And when you look at the laptop, because it's not as interactive as I thought it would be, because nowadays games are more interactive, right? Because you're just clicking. So I'm just wondering whether the software allows for other kinds of interaction besides.
This software currently does not allow interaction. It would be a different piece of software. But basically, it's only for quizzes. That's the most important function that it can offer.
Thank you for your talk. I think you are an expert in this kind of, technical tools. Are you familiar with some other software or some other programs in which students can also do something similar, like doing exercise by themselves?
Oh yeah, I believe there are like Ice Cream Quiz Maker, and then we have Articulate 9, and also Adobe Captivate something, but it's quite complicated. This one is the most easy one.
Okay. Are you from? My daughter is a junior high school student, and she's doing some kind of English testing online as a classroom assignment, and I think it's similar to this. I think many of us may be familiar with this type of thing already, but could you please illustrate a little bit how you input the material into the software?
Okay, I think I'm running out of time, so I can't do that right now, but if you like, you can email me, and I'll give demonstration on YouTube. You can watch it, it's quite simple.
Alright, so you have to, the first thing to do is to buy the software.
Yes.
Okay, and install it in your computer.
That's right.
And then it's easy just to input the material into that.
It's quite simple.
Okay.
So that's
It's not simple as long as you design the exercise by yourself. Right? Okay.
So one more question.
I appreciate you having designed such software for classroom instruction and enrichment. But I would like to find out, were the materials already validated by experts and dry run, or have you undertaken dry run or pilot testing in relation to your instructional materials? I think there is a need to have this validation before you finally produce them into instructional materials to find out the practicality, the reliability, and the validity of the material.
You mean in terms of effectiveness of the material?
Not only that, in terms of what you intend to measure should be measured by the test that you had produced, or even how reliable all the materials, and of course helping you achieve whatever objectives you have in mind. Because I noticed there are no objectives given before the exercises, because we have to be particular with what specific goal or objective are we actually trying to accomplish by those exercises that you have given. And in the Philippines, we do validate and pilot test the materials that we make before we finally produce them for regular testing to find out if there are errors, possibly even in some of the answers. Because I noticed in this part 2 competition, your ideal school, you said here that you have to use only one word, but I don't know what answer can you give for this. Or are there things you and your classmates blank chains Does this not require 2-word answers? Or are there things you and your classmates like change given the opportunity? Does this not require want to change? If it is want to change, then it is not a 1-word answer. It's a 2-word answer. You see, it is only by pilot testing or conducting a dry run that we can determine if there are still some parts of the test items that need to be improved.
Alright, thank you for your question. Right, I understand that in terms of validation of the test, validity and reliability. Okay. So what I've been proposing is not really a way of producing a test though. And I have taken this source from the book called Cambridge FC2, published by Cambridge University Press. And
So
I also
you
believe
use
this is the kind of exercise that they design. And I've just done the part of projecting it onto the software.
So you adopted.
Yeah.
You adopted, that is DOPTED, and then you adapted it, ADAPTED.
That's right.
To suit. However, since it was adopted, do you think that is already considered to be an innovation? Can you claim it as your own?
I won't claim it as your own. As I said, I would cite the source, and of course I acknowledge. And also it's just going to be used inside my classroom, not for any other purposes.
So it's not originally designed by you, you just adopted it.
Right, this paper is by Cambridge. The software is mine.
And once
My
you
adaptation.
adopted, were the materials that you adopted printed, not found online? Are they found online? Let's say, are they audiovisual materials that you adopted? Or they were just printed, found in books, and then you just designed it and name it as the computer-based instruction material?
So let's say, okay, that is quite a tough issue in terms of
Yes, they might question.
copyright and
They might
origin.
question your
They might
the
question.
validity, the reliability, and then the practicability of your materials, and might be asking you, where did you get such idea? Did you adopt it from somewhere else? We do testing first, try run first, and then validate it from experts to find out, so we can determine how reliable our materials will be before having them published online. It might be used by other teachers. Only
Right,
to find
so-
out that if they're going to administer it in the classroom, that their students might be having some problems.
Right, so let's say I'm just going to proposing a way of designing materials. You can do just any materials that you want and validate it. I have just given a small example of the material that I have. Of course, the other problems related to the validity, reliability, now that's quite a different thing. And also, example of the possibility of what can be done only. Just what I have been proposing. Right. So thank you very much.
I just want to make sure
Can I have-
Thank you.
the software is your own software.
No, the software is from somebody else. I have bought it. I have to buy it.
So how much does it cost?
Yeah.
How much does it sell?
About $200.
200.
And I just wonder,
Can we share the sorry? Can we share the software? Can we share the software together?
Of course, you can.
Huh?
Yeah, like 4 people.
So we buy one and then after that we can share.
That's right. Of course. So I think that's enough time for me right now.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your questions.